Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another random movie review. Like I said before, just doing some reviews out of the blue, a couple of random reviews. And on top of that too, I think you can tell by outside, it's a little dark outside. I think it's ready to storm. It's been, rainy and, things like that, so, doing a little mini marathon of some random movies, on a rainy day. And I figured I'd review this one next. Because I feel like this is an underrated gem, in my opinion. I know not many people... I don't know if many people like this movie or even heard of this film. But I think it's an underrated gem. It's a George Romero movie that doesn't get... that no one mentions this one when they think of George Romero. They think of Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and things like that. But no one ever mentions this one. And that review is going to be on Bruiser. Now, Bruiser was a film that was released in 2000. I believe this was a 2000 movie. Written and directed by George Romero. Now, the cast in the film, you have Jason Flemyng as your lead. Now, Jason Flemyng, you've seen him in a couple films. He was, I think, the Invisible Man in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He was also the guy in Seed of Chucky, who was the guy who was dressed in the Santa suit in Seed of Chucky. That's Jason Flemyng. Peter Stormare plays a really weird character. I'll get to that in a minute. And it was also cool to see Leslie Hope, who was in Men at Work with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen. She's in the film. Tom Atkins has a role in this as a cop. And pretty much what this film is about, you have Jason Flemyng's character as Henry Creedlow. He's a guy who's pretty much like a guy down on his luck. People like step all over him. His wife is unfaithful to him. He gets cheated out of a fortune by his best friend. Like, his best friend's stealing money from him, but he doesn't realize it until later in the movie. He gets screwed over at work by his boss. His boss is Peter Stormare. And Peter Stormare just plays like a sleazeball, like a slimeball boss. Just watch the film for yourself to get what I mean. He's just a really over-the-top character, Peter Stormare. But I think he's really funny. It's just a really odd character that he plays. And basically Jason Flemyng plays a guy who is a businessman who works at this magazine company called Bruiser, which basically, it's kind of like a Playboy, kind of like magazine company where they put like a woman on the front cover of the magazine, like a Playboy kind of like magazine. And you have Leslie Hope as one of the women that works there, and who's really the only nice person to Henry and things like that. And she like makes these masks, and she's like an art the designer and things like that. So she gives Henry like this plain like white mask and things like that. It says like make your own design on it and things like that. So basically what happens is that one night Henry catches his wife cheating on him with his boss, and she berates him, saying like you're nothing, you're worthless. And every once in a while Henry has like a dream or a vision of him like getting revenge on people and things like that. But what happens is his wife drops him off one night at his home, and he's left home by himself, and he's drinking all night. And then what ends up happening is that he wakes up the next day, and by a weird Twilight Zone twist, he wakes up with the mask on his face, and he can't take it off. He doesn't really know why. And basically this mask that's permanently on his face changes his personality, and basically he starts getting revenge on the people that did him wrong. And that's pretty much, it's a revenge movie, pretty much. He gets revenge on the people that did him wrong and things like that. But, I think this is an underrated gem, Bruiser. Now, first getting off to the cast, I think Jason Flemyng does a great job as the lead, as Henry. You feel really sorry for this guy, because he's doing everything the best that he could for his wife and things like that. He gets screwed over at work, and Leslie Hope, he has a companion in Leslie Hope who's really the only person that treats Henry nicely. So I like Leslie Hope and that she's likable, and I really like Jason Flemyng. I feel sorry for this poor guy. Peter Stormare as the boss, just a really strange, like, over-the-top performance that he gives. Just a sleazeball boss. Just watch the film for yourself to get what I mean. Just Peter Stormare, it's a really weird and odd performance, but I thought he was good. But it was just a weird, over-the-top performance. But and it was cool to see Tom Atkins as a cop who's trying to find Henry. And I'll tell you what, when Henry gets revenge on the people that did him wrong, you know, he don't mess around. Like, the very first person he gets revenge on is his maid. Because basically the house that him and his wife are in, there's still work being done on the house, and they're trying to get the house all ready, and things like that. So what ends up happening is that the first person he gets revenge on is his maid, because once in a while his maid would steal stuff from him, like jewelry and money and things like that. So he's hiding and lurking, and he's like peeking through so that way he can't be seen, and he sees the maid with this bag, and she's putting like silver and jewelry and money in the bag, and he's like, you know, what's in the bag? Like, what are you taking from me? And she's like, oh, there's nothing in the bag. There's nothing in the bag. And he says, really? So if I look in that bag, there's nothing in there. And he grabs the bag and just smacks her with the bag and knocks her out and kills her. You know, I'm saying Henry don't mess around with the mask on. And even to the point where there's a point where Leslie Hope catches Peter Stormare and Henry's wife in the office, you know, things like that. Because I think Peter Stormare is with Leslie Hope, and she takes a photo of him, and Henry's there also, and he confronts his wife, and, you know, he says, I'll tell you what I can do, because, like, there was a point where, in the beginning of the movie where his wife criticizes him for not knowing how to use, like, an electrical cord, and he says, you know, I'll show you what I can do with the electrical cord, and ties it around her neck, and he throws her out the window, and she just hangs from there. You know, just this guy just does not mess around. He gets revenge on his best friend because he finds out that his friend's stealing money from him. He gets revenge on him and things like that. I don't want to give too much more away, but I think it was really cool to see Tom Atkins in the film as a cop who's trying to find Henry and things like that. But yeah, Bruiser is one of those films that I feel like is an underrated gem. No one mentions this film when they talk about George Romero. In my opinion, I'd probably say it's one of my personal favorites from George Romero. I think this is just an underrated, in a way, revenge movie. You feel sorry for Jason Flemyng because this guy is getting walked on so many times, and he just doesn't take it anymore with this mask on and starts messing up people big time. He certainly gets they certainly get their comeuppance, I'll tell you that. I know I said a couple of them, but you still watch the film for yourself. It's better to see it on screen than just me talking about it. But just a really, and the way Peter Stormare gets killed by Henry is just so satisfying, because Peter Stormare, you know, just, you know, how much of a sleazeball he is. But and the ending is really bizarre too. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you haven't seen Bruiser, and if you want to see a George Romero film that not many people know about, and if you like Tom Atkins, you know, Tom Atkins is a great car actor. The Fog, Halloween 3, of course, Lethal Weapon. He was in Lethal Weapon, Night of the Creeps, and things like that. Tom Atkins is a really great character actor. And if you want to see a really underrated kind of like revenge movie, I think Bruiser is definitely worth checking out. I like the lead, Jason Flemyng. I like the other cast members. I think it's directed very decently by George Romero. Just a really solid revenge movie. So I definitely say Bruiser is worth checking out. So that is pretty much it for my review for Bruiser. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. You guys take care.